watching this film last night, I mean, the tension is nail-biting, isn't it? So when you were reading this script for the first time, you must have been feeling the same.
I was. I mean, I felt physically ill the first time I read the script. It's so shocking what took place. It's so horrifying, and I think I just couldn't believe it as I was turning the page, that the idea that human beings can treat each other in that way is really, really shocking.
Oh, what a page turner, I imagine, for an actor. You couldn't have put it down, surely.
Yeah, it's an intense script.
And when you read the part that you play, what was it? Because they're not easy characters to connect to. So what was it about that part that you thought, okay, there is something that I want to bring to the big screen here?
I felt that Demons was the least inherently racist of these three cops. He was the one who is most likely to sit on the fence and is least comfortable with the idea of white supremacy and racism. But that makes him, in a way, more dangerous than anybody else. Because, as I've said in some other interviews here, the most outspoken ideological extremists are rarely the ones who cause the actual physical damage or make these atrocious offences happen. Obviously their words and their beliefs are what contribute to it, but it is a person who is susceptible to those words and to that language and to that ideology, who feels the need to prove themselves and categorise themselves within that group, is the person who commits that crime. And we're seeing that all over the place at the moment. That's happening in the United States. That's happening here in the UK all the time. It is a systemic issue throughout the world right now. So for me, it was a great opportunity to examine the psychology of that kind of person and to think, how can we prevent these people from being in a position where they become susceptible to this radical ideology?
Also, because this is an event that actually happened, I would imagine, I'm not sure if you're an actor that loves research, but I could imagine you just completely immersed yourself into not only the script, obviously, that presents much information anyway, but to go on your own journey to find out what really happened at this event.
Yeah, I mean, more so for me than anything else, it was about... Of course, we did research on the event itself and on the 1967 uprising in Detroit, but it's important not to lose sight of the fact that this is a cyclical thing and that it's still occurring in the same way right now. It is no less relevant today than it was the moment it happened. So for that reason, my emphasis was on examining the psychology of these people, of really thinking about getting inside the head of somebody who feels like this or has the potential to feel like this, and that was my approach.
It feels very much like a documentary.
It does.
And it's obviously the recanting of people's stories that were actually there at the event, and the lady that you represent was an actual person.
She was, and she was on set with us every day, which was an amazing resource for me, and an amazing. It was amazing to just get to know her and develop that connection with her, and it gave me such a clear sense of purpose as to why we were telling this story, and how important it was to share her story with the world.
I mean, and obviously, I mean, it's got a bit of a cliche. With that comes a responsibility, but I mean, it really does when you're representing somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a responsibility, and I would say it's an honor as well. I mean, she's a really, really amazing woman, and I feel so privileged to have gotten to spend time with her and get to know her.
When you're portraying somebody that's still alive and she's not a well-known figure, does that free you up as an actor to portray her as you see her?
I mean, I would definitely say, yeah, I wasn't interested in doing an impersonation, and also obviously there's no footage of her when she was that age, so that it wasn't. I couldn't kind of base my performance off anything, but I think it was more about capturing her spirit and her essence, and I think that I know she's seen the film and is happy with how it's turned out, so that's the highest praise we could hope for.
When I was watching the film yesterday, I wondered how much you referenced original archive imagery to help inform you with the look and feel of the film.
Lots and lots and lots. We watched over and over all the archive footage we could have and we could see, and we put a lot of it into the film. But yeah, of course, it's the key to that, you know. Yeah.
And I know this may sound like a very odd statement, but watching it felt very much like a kaleidoscope of reflections. Definitely amidst the chaos that was happening in the Algiers hotel, and I just wondered how you and Kathryn worked together to kind of create that.
Well, we create a whole world. That's how we've been doing. Yeah, if you Hurt Locker was the same. Create a big world and keep shooting it, and the actors I think love it, and they find this world where they're never out of character, and they're never lost in the story either. So it's for us, the camera has to, and we have to use several cameras, 2 or 3, to capture simultaneous action. So yeah, it's not the easiest way sometimes, and it's not the most beautiful, but it's the right one.
Well, actually, when you talk about probably not the most beautiful, but it actually feels it's very real, and it feels almost documentarian. Really.
Yeah. Well, my background was documentaries, and you need documentary fields for this. Yeah, and beauty is not always what we, it's not so clean cut, nicely and neat stuff. There's a beauty in the kind of the randomness of things.
There is, and also there's a lot of ugliness that we see in this film, and how does absolutely, and I wonder how much that reflects in how you light it and
yeah, it's capturing the period. The period was ugly. I felt for the actors who had to act out some of the police characters and the army. And they struggle because they're obviously very good people playing very bad people. So it's my job is to capture that,
and you did.
Thank you. I think we did.
Oh my God, you did.